Hey there. Let me tell you a story. Now, perhaps you think that a mere story couldn't possibly affect you that deeply, but if you do, then you might find yourself surprised by how much it really could. See, this is a story about how you went to a hypnosis presentation event where technicians and scientists and all sorts of other smart, creative people presented new projects or devices or other gimmicks that they were working on related to hypnosis. And maybe it was a bit stereotypical. Coming in, you could see quite a few screens with spirals. I suppose it could have been expected. But there were quite a few other things going on as well. It was quite a big hall that this event was being held in, and many booths to check out and learn about new advancements in hypnosis. That could be quite fascinating. Still, despite what you may think about all these stereotypes, one of the first stalls that kind of piqued your interest as you walked through that hall was one with all sorts of pendulums. Some of them looked a bit strange, interesting shapes, perhaps more aerodynamic, you thought. Something strange like that, something smart and technical, perhaps. One of the people working there greeted you. You asked them to maybe show some of them to you. You asked what was their favorite pendulum. The person's eyes seemed to kind of light up as I picked up a certain one. Just look at this for a moment and you'll understand why this one is so very special, they told you, as the pendulum indeed started to slowly swing back and forth and back and forth. And intrigued as you were to figure out what was so special about this one, you started following the pendulum. At first glance, it didn't seem like anything too special. It had a nice purple color, but stereotypical again, you thought. But there was something else. Inside the pendulum, there was some sort of inlaid object, and as the pendulum moved, that seemed to be a spiral inside the pendulum. As the pendulum swung back and forth, that spiral was starting to turn. Couldn't quite tell if it was something that had been inlaid into the pendulum beforehand, some sort of resin pour maybe, or perhaps it was some sort of projection. But either way, it did look rather intriguing, combining two such classics of hypnosis, the pendulum going back and forth, keeping your eyes with it, with a small spiral just spinning inside. What a strange thing to imagine, isn't it? And yet it still looked so fascinating. You couldn't quite help but keep staring for a little while longer. This was only the first booth you've checked out. How were you already so drawn in? The person smiled at you and told you to wake, reminded you to not fall too deep too quickly, and took the pendulum away. Kind of left you wondering what would have happened if you'd kept looking at it. Would your mind have started to slip until you went into trance? Maybe you were already a bit closer to it than you thought. But that's fine. Still, you came here to check out different things and not just one. So you turned away from that first stall and kept walking, and looked for anything else that might pique your interest, so to say. So, as you kept looking around, something strange again caught your eye. A sort of booth that actually didn't have any flashy imagery at all. Instead, what was laying there were pieces of fabric. You approached the stall, your curiosity piqued. How was fabric related to hypnosis, you thought? Well, see, the fabric we wear is actually quite influential upon our mental state, one of the people there told you. It's like when you come back home and throw on a nice, comfortable hoodie, it makes you feel more relaxed, whereas your tight work clothes don't really feel as nice, do they? The fabric we use matters. How about you just have a feel? They hand you a little strip of fabric. It doesn't really look too special. You take your hand and run it over it. It's not rough, quite the opposite really. It's very soft, like a sort of cloud fabric. It does really remind you sort of a nice and warm hoodie that you could just throw on. But while it is soft, it certainly does have some texture to it, that much you can tell. Almost like there is a little bit of hills or valleys in it. It's like wherever you are, your fingers end up sliding into it a little bit deeper, almost like they're being pulled in. It's a bit of a strange feeling. You've certainly never felt a fabric like this before. It almost feels like as your hand's being pulled in, it just sinks a bit deeper, and it's almost like your mind is being pulled in as well. You never would have thought that a mere piece of fabric could be so fascinating, so hypnotic. Yet here you are, your hand on the piece of fabric, and somehow feeling nice because of it, just feeling a bit drifty or floaty because of it. Bit of a strange feeling, truly. Wake, the person there tells you. You were drifting quite a bit there, you know? Maybe it's better to take a bit of a breather. So you place the fabric back on the table to continue walking around. You are getting a bit more fuzzy, admittedly, but you should be fine for now, right? There's still so many more things to check out here. So many fascinating installments that are definitely worth a visit, right? Next thing you walk past seems at first glance to just be a big screen on the wall, not displaying anything at all. How strange. Is it broken, you think? No, not at all. You just need to stand in front of it, and it'll activate its functionality. As you do, it needs a few moments to calibrate, but then it lights up in a nice warm blue. And what you very quickly notice is that this screen actually syncs up with your breathing. When you breathe in, the color gets lighter, and when you breathe out, it gets darker again. Maybe it's not the most explicitly hypnotic thing here, the person beside you tells you, but still, it is quite fascinating to look at it, isn't it? To watch your own breathing be presented like that, projected onto the screen, color lightening and then darkening again, going up and going down. See, a lot of people just naturally slow down a bit when they breathe out, and it's like that color darkens down. You also go down a bit as you breathe in and then breathe out. It's a natural way to relax the body. Many people really enjoy it. It can be quite effective. Even so, you're just standing here and doing nothing else and just watching the pretty color gradient go up and down as you breathe in and out. It doesn't seem like anything that should bring you down as much as it does, should it now? But that's fine. Maybe it really is affecting you more than you thought. Maybe it's just the context. I suppose you were expecting to be hypnotized at such a presentation event, weren't you? So it's fine that even just watching some colors go lighter and darker as you breathe in and out, you almost bring yourself ever deeper with each breath. You stood there for a moment longer, but then perhaps it was time to check out other things as well. There were still so many more things to check out, although by now, perhaps you were wondering just how many you could make it through before you got too fuzzy to really remember anymore. Someone else offered you a sort of bracelet. As you touched it, it felt rather warm, and as you put it on, that warmth somehow spread throughout your entire body, just adding again to that feeling of drifty and comfortable relaxation. You weren't quite sure how it worked, the technical stuff behind it. It didn't really matter. It was just a nice and warm feeling spreading throughout your entire body and even your mind. All these things that you were looking at perhaps really were more effective than you thought. You found yourself having to slow down a bit, not really knowing where to go next, not really knowing if you wanted to go anywhere else at all, just kind of looking around a little bit aimlessly, and that's fine. You did notice that at the side of the room there were a row of armchairs that some were already sitting in. Apparently, the organizers had already provided something for people in your situation. A place to sit down and just transfer a bit until you were aware enough again to continue looking at all the other things. So, with a little bit of difficulty, you brought yourself to one of those chairs and just sat down, and you couldn't help yourself. As you just sat down and finally didn't have to stand upright anymore, you just dropped a bit, and that's okay. But fuzziness just started adding up, even though the people had attempted to keep you awake. It just wasn't quite enough. All these fancy technical equipment stuffs, they just kept bringing you deeper regardless. And that can be quite fun. But now you were just sinking a bit. And the chair was quite comfortable. Was it another attraction still? You couldn't quite tell. Maybe it was because you couldn't quite tell, but you just kept sinking into it even more. Like it was adjusting to the shape of your body, almost like hugging you from behind, making you feel so very comfortable, holding you and making sure that there needed to be no tension in your body at all, that you could just sink and relax for as long as you needed to. You could just go in trance a bit until you were ready to continue looking around again. And that's fine. Sometimes you just need to take a break because you got a bit too fuzzy. That's really no problem at all. So, as you were laying there, still remembering how you got there to the point, that interesting spiraling pendulum that was just swinging in front of you. That was so fascinating indeed. How even something like simple fabric seemed to pull you in. how your breathing slowed you down even more. Till the bracelets that you're still wearing are just warming you up from the inside out, making you feel so nice and comfortable. What else could you do but just be a bit drifty, be a bit trancy? That's a perfectly normal response. You just stayed there for a moment, letting the moment take how long it took, just drifting in mindlessness for a little while until you found the energy to get back up again. And in a moment, I'll count you back up from that again. So, you'll wake back up with each number more and more. Just 1, slowly getting up from the chair again. 2, you could walk around more if you wanted. 3, but it is also good to know your limits. 4, wouldn't want you to get so deep now, would we now? 5, so wake up further. 6, rising up further. 7, that's it. 8, almost there. 9, getting close to the exit. And 10, wake, fully this time. And breathing in the fresh air from outside. That's very well done. And I'm sure there were some interesting projects to observe there, weren't there? Well then, let's see what you'll do with that experience from this lovely story.